Hey guys, sorry, the last video got cut off, but what I was saying was that if you have a larger data set, right, this can be a pain, really annoying and a pain. Oh, sorry. Okay, just to go ahead and do it all on one. So, just ordering everything and trying to find the median. So what you can do instead, you can just use your handy dandy calculator right here, right? So you can just use your calculator, right? Oops, it went away. You can just use your calculator to go ahead and make you do everything for you, right? So I entered all the numbers in here. So let me go ahead and power it up. I already did it, right? So I'm going to go back to stat and I'm going to go on edit. And right here, I have already placed all the numbers for you. So the numbers that I made up, okay? So then after that, I'm going to press stat again. And then I'm going to go to calculator, okay? And oops. And I'm going to go ahead and go to one variable statistics, okay? I'm going to press enter, right? And if you scroll down, right, you're going to have the minimum value, Q1, which is 1.5, which is what we found here, right? Here's 1.5. Oops, I'm on eraser mode, okay? So still 1.5, right? If you keep going, right, down, the median is 3, right? 3, right? And then if we go to Q3, it's actually equal to 4. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this out. So it's actually equal to 4. So the calculator actually does it for you. And it's really useful, really fast. So do whatever you'd like to do. Okay, now, what I want to talk about now is why is this useful? Why is it useful for us to go ahead and find all the different quartiles, right? So the reason why it's useful is because there's something called the 5-number summary, right? So the 5-number summary basically takes into account 5 different values. So it takes into account the minimum value, the first quartile, the second quartile, the third quartile, right? And the maximum value, right? So X max, Q1, Q2, Q3, and X max. Okay, so why is this useful? Well, this helps us draw a box plot. Okay, and all a box plot is, it just is another way in which you can go ahead and graph data, just like we did with the histogram, right? We can do it with the box plot, and this is for numerical data, obviously, because with numerical data, you can actually find the median and the quartiles and all that stuff, right? So what this does, right, it just takes the minimum value, right? So this hinge right here is going to be the minimum value. This portion, right, is going to be the first quartile. The middle one is the median. Here is the third quartile, and here is the maximum, right? Now, the thing about a box plot is that box plots usually don't take into account outliers. So if I had an outlier, right, this hinge, let's say, this was maybe like, I don't know, 17, and this is 20. Now, let's say there was like a 97, something outrageous out here. Well, this hinge is going to be all the way over here, right? So you can kind of tell that this is kind of like an extreme value, right? And a regular box plot doesn't really tell you, you know, which one is an outlier and which one is not. So instead of a box plot, what we ended up doing, we do a modified box plot, which is basically the same thing, right? But instead, there is a, I guess like a threshold on how far a data point should be for it to be considered an outlier. And what we call them is the lower and the upper fences, right? And the way that we calculate it, I have it calculated down here, right? So the lower fence, right, which is everything in blue, right? This lower fence is Q1, right? So here's Q1, and I subtract 1.5 times the IQR. Now you must be thinking, what the heck is an IQR? Well, the IQR is what we call the inner quartile range. Inter quartile range. So basically what this is, it's just Q3 minus Q1. How far is the third quartile and the first quartile, right? So you just subtract them, and that's how you get the IQR. So this distance itself, if it's like a little bit more than if it's 1.5, right, the distance, right, times the IQR, then, or a little bit more than what the IQR is, then it's going to be an outlier. So these lower this lower fence and this upper fence, right? They are not usually in the box plot. You just have them as reference, right? And then anything that's outside of it will be an outlier, and everything that's not will just be in here. So let's do an example, so that way we can go ahead and do a problem. You can go ahead and, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's really late at night, you guys. Okay. All right. So let's do this example so that we can kind of get into the groove of things. All right. So given the following data, right? So I have this data set, right? So find the 5-number summary. Okay. So remember, the 5-number summary, we need to have 5 different values, right? So the first one is X min. Then we need to find Q1, Q2, Q3, and X max. Okay. So what we're going to have to end up doing first is that we're going to have to order the data. Okay. So let's go ahead and order it. Okay, so I think the lowest number is going to be 22. And you'll see why I'm not going to use a calculator on this. You'll see why. So 22. Then after that, I think it's 25. Then after that is 34. Okay. Then after that is going to be 35. Okay, so watch me suffer. 41, then 41. Okay. Then after the 41s, what else? 46. Then another 46. Yeah, this is very, very fun, right? Okay, then after that, it's 47. Then we get a 49. Even more fun. Oh, no. Did I forget another 46? No. I'm good. I just didn't cross it off. Okay. And then 54. So the 54s go away. Right. There's 2 of them. 54s. Then what else do we have? We just have a 59 over here, and then we have a crazy 87 over here. Okay. All right, so this took a very long time, right? It took me like 30 seconds of my life. So, all right, so what do we want to go ahead and do, right? 5-number summary, the first thing that we want to find is X min, right? Well, clearly X min is just going to be 22, right? Because this is what it is, right? Q1, Q2, and Q3. Okay, so let's figure out what Q2 is, right? So Q2 is going to be right in the middle of the data set, right? So if I were to go ahead and do it, I think it's going to be somewhere around these 2, right? So Q2 actually is right between these 2 numbers, right? And what is the number between those 2? Well, it's 46, right? All right. After that, we're going to take these numbers and figure out what Q1 is. Oh, what happened? Okay, Q1. Okay, what number is it? It's 35, okay? It's 35, so it's just the meaning of that. Q3, in this case, I'm going to take these numbers, right, and figure out what the middle number is. And the middle number in this case is going to be 54. Yes, sorry, I just, these look so big. Okay, 54. I got scared. Okay. And then the last one, X max, is just going to be 87. And that's it. That is a 5-number summary, right? So these are the 5 numbers that I need, right, to make my modified box plot. Okay. Now, since I'm doing a modified box plot, right, what I need to make sure is I need to figure out what my lower and upper fences are, right? So if you remember, what was the formula for the lower fence? You have to go a little bit up, or you can rewind the video. Okay, so this is actually Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. That's what it was. Now IQR, if you remember, IQR is just going to be Q3 minus Q1. So I'm going to subtract these 2 numbers, right? So 54 minus 35, okay? And what that's going to give me, 19, okay? So Q1 was 35 minus 1.5 times 19. So I can just put this in my handy dandy calculator, and what I'm going to get is 6.5. Okay, please check my work. Okay. Then my upper fence, right, is going to be Q3 plus 1.5 IQR. Okay. So Q3 is going to be 54 plus 1.5 times 1.9. And what this is going to give me is 82.5. Okay. So basically, all of my data, what this means is that all of my data is going to lie between 6.5 and 82.5 in order for it to be, you know, not an outlier, kind of. That's basically what it's saying. Okay. Are there any outliers? Well, let's see. 6.5 is going to be a little bit over here, right? This is where 6.5 is going to be. 82.5, right, is around here. Is there any outliers? Yes. This looks like a potential outlier, okay? So yes, 82.5 seems like it's going to be an outlier. Oops. 87, it seems like it's going to be an outlier. I wrote it down wrong. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to go ahead and do, right? I want to go ahead and make up my modified box plot, okay? All right. Now, this is how I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm first going to look for Q1. Q1 was equal to 35, okay? So hopefully all of you guys are writing this down. So Q1 is right here. Here's 35. Q2 was 46. So 46 is somewhere around here. 46 is around here, okay? Then Q3 was equal to 54. 54 seems like it's around here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make a box. Okay, here's my box. All right, perfect. All right, now let me go ahead and write the hinges. Okay, so the hinges, right? So the lower fence, you don't really need to draw it, right? But it just tells you kind of where everything is at. So my lower fence was 6.5. So 6.5 is somewhere around here, right? So here was 6.5. I'm just going to go ahead and just, let me draw it in a different color, actually. That might be a little bit useful. Okay, go away. All right, I'm going to draw it in this color, in green. Okay, so 6.5 is somewhere around here, right? Here is my lower fence. My upper fence in this case was equal to 82.5, right? So 82.5 is around this area, right? Wait, it's kind of weird. Yeah, 82.5 is around here. Here's around 82.5. Okay. All right, so that's my hinges. Okay. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do now, I'm gonna go ahead and get the red one again. Okay, I forgot what color it was, but whatever. Okay. Now, here is where the tricky part is. Okay, so what are my inside numbers? Okay, well, I know what this one is. I know what my minimum value is. If I go back up, my minimum value was 22, right? So I'm gonna write 22 around here. So let's pretend that this is 22. Right? That is my lowest value. Now, what should this be? Right? Because if you look, it's not the maximum value. The maximum value was 87, right? 87 is all the way over here. So 87 is going to be right here. And I'm just going to draw a little dot here. Little dot. Okay? But what goes on over here? Does it extend? Well, no, because remember, anything outside of this is going to be an outlier. So instead, what we do, right? We just go ahead and look at what my other good value is going to be. My other good value before that was 59. So 59 actually is going to be that. So let me go down. So 59 is somewhere around here. Here's 59. And that is my box plot, right? So it looks something like that. And it looks kind of weird looking, but that's what it is. Okay. This is what my outlier is, right? So I have a potential outlier over here, right? But everything else, right? That's just what we do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to slowly run out of time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Okay.